You know, in our super connected world, there's one language that's pretty much become the undisputed champ, the global lingua franca. And what's wild is, it feels like it belongs to the whole world now, more than any one country. So let's dig in and figure out how English turned into this essential tool for, well, for global citizenship, really. How it's breaking down borders and totally changing how we all talk to each other.
All right, to really get a feel for what this means, let's not start with some dry definition. Instead, let's just picture a scene that plays out every single day, all across the globe.
So, imagine this. You've got a researcher in Tokyo who's just had a major breakthrough. Now to get the word out, she doesn't write her paper in Japanese. Nope, she writes it in English. And why is that? It's so her colleagues in Berlin and Sao Paulo can instantly read it, understand it, and build on it. This kind of thing happens constantly, every single day, in labs and universities all over the world.
And that brings up a really big question, right? How is this even possible? How did one single language become this bridge that lets a scientist in Asia collaborate seamlessly with her colleagues in Europe and South America? And look, that researcher in Tokyo, that's not some isolated case. This is pretty much the global standard now. You've got multinational corporations holding all their meetings in English, even when there isn't a single native speaker in the room. And for the younger generation, learning English is seen as the key, the thing that unlocks future opportunities. It's really become more than just a language, it's a universal tool.
But still, you gotta ask, how did this happen? How did English go from just being a tool for interaction to being this global force for progress? Why this language? And why now?
I absolutely love this metaphor. The idea is that the dominance of English wasn't really forced. It's more of a natural thing, a result of just how useful it is. I mean, think about it. In almost any international situation, it's the one tool that just works. It's so practical, so widespread that it kind of naturally rises to the surface as the go-to choice. And the result of all this? It's huge. I mean, absolutely massive. When you have a shared language, it acts like a catalyst. It just breaks down all these barriers, lets ideas flow freely. And that, in turn, accelerates innovation and drives economic growth on a global scale.
Okay, but here's the thing. For a language to power global progress, you'd think it has to be pretty accessible, right? And this is where we hit a really fascinating paradox. Because while English is useful everywhere, it's not always simple. In fact, some of its biggest complexities are hidden in the most basic seeming places, like, believe it or not, the present tense.
So to see what I mean, just consider something that sounds simple on the surface, the English present tense. For a lot of learners, say a native Japanese speaker whose own language is structured very differently, mastering this one aspect can be surprisingly tough. There are all these tricky little points that just aren't obvious at first.
So for instance, in English we say the conference starts next Monday, or the keynote speaker arrives at 8:30 a.m. Now wait a second, we're talking about the future, but we're using the present tense. See, this is a rule for scheduled, fixed events, and it's a really subtle point that can be super tricky for learners to get the hang of.
Or here's another one. Picture a tour guide at an airport. Someone telling the story wouldn't say, "I suggest we all gather at the gate. She will take the microphone." No, they'd say, "She takes the microphone and begins her announcement." It's the present tense again, but this time it's used to describe actions as they're happening, like you're watching it live.
And see, this isn't just about grammar. It's about the effect it has. Using the present tense like this makes the whole scene feel more immediate, more vivid, more dramatic. It basically pulls you right into the moment. And it's a perfect example of these hidden layers of complexity that exist just beneath the surface of the language.
So what we've got is a language that connects the entire world, but also has this surprising depth and complexity. So what's the best way to think about its role today? Well, it turns out there's a fantastic metaphor that really helps pull it all together. I want you to think of English as a global operating system, like Windows or iOS on your computer or phone. It's the foundational platform that allows all the different programs, in this case, people from a whole range of countries and cultures, to run and interact with each other smoothly.
So, what does this global OS actually do? Well, it acts as that shared medium for communication, and it works even when the linguistic distance between people's native languages is absolutely huge. Think about Japanese and Portuguese, for example. Ultimately, it provides that common language, that common code that we need for global progress.
All right, so with this role as the world's operating system pretty firmly established, the final question really is,
Where does it go from here?
Well, the consensus is pretty clear on this. The position that English holds, it's not fragile. Its standing as the international language is pretty much set to continue for the foreseeable future. The world has really come to rely on this common language, and that reliance isn't going away anytime soon.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If English really is the world's operating system, a platform that's constantly evolving thanks to its billions of global users, what do you think its next major update is going to be? What new features or changes will pop up as the world keeps getting more and more connected?